Now, there are a few icons in the auto industry. The BMW 5 Series, along with the smaller 3 Series, really are the gold standard or the benchmark in terms of driving dynamics and handling. And today, we're looking at the new 5 Series. Now, if you're like me, you might have a hard time noticing the differences on this new car. And you know what? It's almost exactly the same size. It's just 3.6 centimeters longer. The wheelbase is only 7 millimeters longer, and it's a half centimeter wider. So it's pretty small stuff. Styling looks so similar to the last car, it's a bit disappointing. This 540 adds the M appearance package with a bigger front spoiler, larger air intakes, side skirts, 20-inch wheels, and a more aggressive rear bumper and lower valance. This is exactly the 5 Series that I would pick. The easiest way to spot the new 5 Series is the slash down the side of the car, similar to the 7 Series. If you go for the base car, it comes with standard 18-inch wheels, but 19 or 20-inch wheels can be equipped, and you can even get it to look like this M appearance package. All 5 Series get LED adaptive headlamps. Now, it's the same on the inside. Everything is similar. In fact, it is similar to the old car. It's the small details that have changed. More on that in just a second. I just want to touch on BMW generally, and this 5 Series specifically. They do a first-rate job of using materials, fit and finish, and the way these cars are put together is second only to Porsche, in my opinion. Wonderful materials, soft touch everywhere, nice big, fat, thick steering wheel. BMW makes some of the best seats in the industry. These are 20-way power massaging seats on this particular car. So let's get back to the minor details that make this car slightly different. The biggest change is the 6th generation Idrive System that has 6 tiles on the screen that can be controlled by the controller in between the seats, or you can actually touch the screen. Now here's where it gets cool. The owner can move the tiles to any layout they like. Plus, the screen can be pinched and zoomed just like your smartphone, which is handy for navigation. Then there's gesture controls. The driver only needs to rotate their hand to adjust the volume, or use 2 fingers to swipe to the next station. Even answering the phone can be done with just a swipe. Now, the gesture features, it's cool. It's a oh wow, your passengers will go, that's really fun, but really it's kind of just a little bit gimmicky. In behind the steering wheel, a digital dash, which is the current trend these days. You've got wireless charging in the center console. Now, the head unit supports Apple CarPlay, but it doesn't support Android Auto. Plus, you have to pay $750 to get Apple CarPlay on top of the cost of this car. So the changes look very similar to the previous car, but when you compare it to, say, Mercedes E-Class with the 2 beautiful screens, or all the fancy new materials Audi is using in its cars, this car seems a little dull. The 5 Series is called the 530, the 540, or the 550. The base 530 gets a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder with 7 more horsepower at 248. Torque comes in at an amazingly low 1,450 RPM. The car I have today is the one that I would buy, the 540 with the epic inline 6-cylinder. It's a 3-liter with 35 more horsepower at 335. This engine produces maximum torque at just 1,380 RPM. That's slightly above idle. The pull from this engine is absolutely amazing. In fact, it feels like a V8. It's so good. There is a V8 too. It's a 4.4-liter turbo with 455 horsepower. Well, this car has a whole bunch of electronic aids that make it a different driving experience than cars from years ago. First of all, you've got standard adaptive electromechanical power steering. Then you've got adaptive suspension. You push the buttons here and it goes from Eco Pro, getting the most efficiency out of the car, all the way up to Sport and Sport Plus, which stiffen the suspension and make the car more dynamic to drive. On top of that, you can also get rear steering on the 5 Series now. So a whole lot of things that make this car feel either relaxed and mellow or aggressive. Now, what I love is the fact that BMW is, and it's a simple thing really, has brought back the old names from the generation of the car that I absolutely loved. It was the E39 BMW that was sold from 97 to 2003, the 530, the 540, and I'm driving the 540. 540, which is very different from the cars of those generations. The 540 back then had a V8. This inline six-cylinder is absolutely a marvelous car, and it's powerful and smooth, efficient, lots of torque, and just an absolute pleasure to drive. The engine is amazing. So the base model 530 starts at $61.5 grand. If you want the 540 I'm driving today, starts at $69,000 plus packages. Lots of different features are in different packages. When you add them all up, this can become a very expensive car. So the 5 Series has been a benchmark in this class of vehicle. Is it still? Well, I'll tell you one thing. The gap between the competition in this car is certainly narrowed.
Well, Zach, why do you think the gap is narrowing?
Well, I'm going to use this particular car as an example, the 540. The last 540 we had was built in 2003. And back then, you had the engine, the transmission, and the way the platform and the chassis was set up gave you that wonderful driving experience. Well, fast forward to today, you have all of those features, plus you have all of these electronics, adaptive suspension, adaptive steering, rear steering. So it all comes together to make the car very different. So back then, you just had to have the basics.
And now other manufacturers have those electronics available as well.
Exactly.